My name is Olivia Chen, and I learned the hardest way that blood relations don't guarantee love. The day my family destroyed my 7-year-old son on his birthday was the day I stopped being their victim. I had spent 3 weeks planning Leo's 7th birthday party, saving $20 at a time from my receptionist paycheck. After his father abandoned us 2 years earlier, I'd promised Leo that every birthday would be special. I rented a community center in Portland, stayed up until 2 a.m. for 5 nights decorating everything Pokemon-themed. I baked a Pokeball cake myself, watching 17 YouTube videos to learn fondant work. My hands cramped rolling out the black strip. The edges weren't perfect, but when Leo saw it that morning, his eyes lit up like I'd given him the world. The party started at 2. By 1:45, Leo was bouncing with excitement in his Ash Ketchum cap, greeting friends like the mayor of Pokemon Town. Marcus's mom slipped me a 20 for pizza later, not charity. I almost cried. Then at 2:15, my sister Jessica arrived late, as always. She wore Tom Ford sunglasses indoors, heels clicking deliberately. Behind her came Mark, her tech investor fiancé, all jawline and cold eyes. Jessica carried a large white box from Pearl District Patisserie, setting it down with a thud to ensure everyone noticed. My parents followed. I hadn't known they were coming. My mother wore her church pearls and that smile she used when teaching me lessons in front of audiences. My father already had his phone out, hungry to capture something entertaining. Jessica glided over, eyes landing on my handmade cake like a hawk on wounded prey. "Oh, Olivia," she dripped with poisonous sweetness. "This looks so very homemade." "Don't worry, I brought a real cake so Leo doesn't have to eat cheap chemical frosting. You do want what's best for your son, right?" The words slapped me, but I'd been slapped by Jessica's words for 32 years. I smiled and nodded, keeping the peace like I'd been trained. My mother's voice carried across the room. "Jessica is always so thoughtful. Olivia, thank your sister." "Thanks, Jess. That's really nice of you," I said through my forced smile. Jessica knew she'd won. She always did. My father drifted toward Leo and his friends, angling his phone for video. He looked at Jessica and nodded. That should have been my warning to grab Leo and leave. But I still wanted to believe family could be decent. Jessica opened her white box with flourish. Inside was a chocolate cake that belonged in Magazine's glossy dark chocolate frosting, with elegant swirls and gold leaf. Perfect. Everything my humble cake wasn't. "All right, everyone, time for the real cake," Jessica called out. "Leo, sweetie, come here. Your Aunt Jess has a special treat." Leo bounded over, trusting and excited. Kids gathered around. I started forward, something twisting in my gut, but my mother's hand gripped my arm. "Let Jessica have her moment," she whispered. "She went to all this trouble." I watched, frozen, as Jessica cut into that beautiful cake. The knife revealed something wrong dense, dark, wet, grayish-brown. The smell hit next. Rotten, putrid decay barely masked by chocolate. Before I could scream or move, Jessica lifted a forkful to Leo. "Open wide, birthday boy. This is a grown-up cake. It'll make you tough." Leo, sweet, trusting Leo, opened his mouth. He took the bite. His face showed confusion, then horror. His eyes widened, his body recoiled. He tried spitting it out but had already swallowed some. His face went white, then green, then he bent over and vomited across the floor, sobbing deep, wrenching sobs from somewhere primal. And my family laughed. They laughed like it was the funniest thing ever. My father's phone showed he was live streaming to Facebook. "Watch Jess teach little Leo a life lesson, LOL. My mother cackled. Mark smirked. And Jessica bent down to where Leo cried, covered in vomit and tears, and said clearly, "See? That's what disappointment tastes like, kid. Better get used to it." Something inside me shattered and rearranged into something cold and unyielding. I pushed past my mother and scooped up Leo's shaking body. The room went silent except his crying. Marcus's mom had her hand over her mouth. Some kids had started crying too. I carried Leo toward the door. No one stopped me. No one apologized. My father kept recording. My mother said something about me being too sensitive, about coddled kids these days. I didn't say a word. I just left with my sobbing child, abandoning the decorations, presents, the cake I'd worked so hard on. None of it mattered except the small boy who'd just learned that people who should love him could hurt him for entertainment. I drove home in silence. Leo cried himself to exhausted sleep. I carried him inside, laid him on his bed, pulled his Pokemon comforter to his chin, and watched him sleep for a long time. Then, I walked to my kitchen, poured water with remarkably steady hands, and let the rage come. It wasn't hot, explosive anger. It was cold, calculating. The kind that builds empires and destroys kingdoms. They had humiliated my child, filmed it, laughed. They'd done it deliberately, with premeditation, because they'd never faced consequences for their cruelty. I realized I was done being their punching bag. Done protecting people who'd never protected me. My mother had held my arm to stop me from saving my son. My father had filmed it. My sister had fed my child dog food mixed with old bread to teach him about disappointment. So I was going to burn their world down. not with screaming or confrontation, with precision, systematically, in a way they could never recover from. The next morning, I took Leo for chocolate chip pancakes. He was quiet, subdued. I told him we'd have another party with people who actually loved him. His face brightened just a little. During my lunch break at work, I checked email. Capital One had denied my credit card application excessive outstanding debt and delinquent accounts. I hadn't had a credit card in 3 years. I'd paid off the last one 6 months ago, celebrating with ice cream. Hands shaking, I paid $30 for my credit report. 4 credit cards I'd never opened, all maxed out. A business loan for $80,000 in my name from 8 months ago. Furniture stores, jewelry stores, a BMW loan I'd never seen. My credit score was destroyed. The loan documents showed J. Chen Wellness Consulting LLC with my parents' address as business address, but the correspondence address where money actually went was Jessica's Pearl District penthouse. I sat in the break room, understanding. Jessica had been using my identity for almost a year. She'd stolen my social security number from our parents' basement filing cabinet. She'd built her influencer lifestyle on credit in my name, and my parents had helped. They hadn't just humiliated my son. They'd been systematically destroying my financial future for months, ensuring I could never build anything better. I closed my laptop carefully, clocked out early, went home, made Leo dinner, helped with homework, put him to bed with extra hugs. Then I went to work. First, I documented everything. Screenshots of every fraudulent account, every loan document, every piece of correspondence, organized into folders, dated and labeled. Documentation was power. Then, I dug into Jessica's life. She had 40,000 Instagram followers who believed her wellness influencer, persona positive energy, authentic living, manifesting abundance. Photos of designer workout clothes, expensive acai bowls, meditation corners, all hashtagged with inspiration. It was all fake. The apartment was rented with my stolen credit. The clothes bought with my fraudulent cards. Her lifestyle brand was built on fraud. I spent 3 days gathering evidence. Old emails where Jessica had asked me to co-sign a business loan, claiming it was a great opportunity. When I declined, she'd apparently forged my signature. Text messages where she'd asked to borrow my social security card for a background check. I'd said no, so she took it anyway. I found receipts, shipping confirmations, photos she'd posted of purchases made on cards in my name. Business registration for J. Chen Wellness with a signature that looked like mine but wasn't quite right. And I found the video. My father had posted it to the family Facebook group, teaching the next generation to toughen up lol. Comments from aunts and uncles, all laughing. Not one person said it was wrong. I saved everything. Backed it up 3 places because once I started, they'd try erasing evidence. Then I built a website. 2 nights and a WordPress tutorial. TheRealJessicaChen.com. $15 for hosting from the grocery budget. The website was simple, clean, devastating. Jessica's smiling Instagram face next to the truth behind the wellness. Below, I laid it all out chronologically. First, the identity theft. Every document, every fraudulent account, every stolen dollar. Screenshots of Instagram posts dated the same day as major purchases on my cards. A $3,000 handbag posted March 15th, the credit card statement showing a charge to Louis Vuitton, March 14th. Over and over, connecting her posts to my stolen money. Then the video. Leo being fed dog food while grandparents filmed and laughed. No commentary needed, the video was damning enough. Below that, screenshots of her Instagram captions about living authentically, treating people with kindness, right next to evidence of fraud and cruelty. The contrast was stark. Finally, my statement, this is Jessica Chen, wellness influencer and life coach. This is what authentic living looks like when you strip away filters and stolen credit cards. This is what positive energy looks like when you feed dog food to a child and laugh while he vomits. This is what manifesting abundance looks like when you steal your sister's identity to fund your fake lifestyle. I'm Olivia Chen, the sister whose life she ruined. Everything here is documented, verified, and reported to authorities. I'm not looking for sympathy, I'm looking for accountability. I published it at 2 a.m. on Thursday. Then I sent emails. Every brand sponsoring Jessica got a professional email. I am writing to inform you that Jessica Chen, whom your company sponsors, is under investigation for identity theft and fraud. I have compiled documented evidence on the following website. I thought you should be aware of who represents your brand. Then the link. I sent it to Mark's venture capital firm's HR and ethics hotline. I sent it to Jessica's building's homeowners association. I sent it to every Facebook family group member who'd laughed. I sent it to parents from Leo's school who'd witnessed the party. Then I filed a police report. The detective, a tired woman in her 50s, reviewed my documents for 20 minutes. This is one of the most clear-cut identity theft cases I've seen. Who did this? My sister. My parents helped. Something flickered in her eyes. We'll investigate. With this documentation, there will likely be charges. Are you prepared? Yes. The billing address for some accounts is different from yours. Whose? My parents. Jessica listed their house as business address for the fake company in my name. They'll be investigated too. If they knowingly participated, they can be charged as accessories. I felt nothing. Good. I also reported fraud to every credit card company and bank. Hours of paperwork, hold music, explanations. But I did it all methodically. Every dispute was a nail in Jessica's coffin. Then I waited. 3 days later, the first domino fell. The yoga mat company posted they were ending their partnership with Jessica due to information about her personal conduct. Comments exploded with speculation. By day 4, all 5 sponsors dropped her. By day 5, her Instagram flooded with comments demanding answers. Former clients shared stories of being scammed. Jessica posted a tearful video about being targeted by jealous people, about cancel culture. But comments were merciless. Someone found the website. Someone shared Leo's video. It went viral as a cautionary tale. Mark called off the engagement 6 days later. Jessica showed up at my apartment at 11 p.m., pounding on my door, screaming about how I'd ruined her life. I didn't open the door. I called police and recorded her screaming that I was a jealous bitch who deserved everything bad that happened. Police made her leave and filed a harassment report. My parents called the next day not to apologize, but attack. My mother shrieked about reputation, about police at their house, about neighbors seeing. When she paused for breath, I said calmly, "You held my arm to stop me from protecting my son while Jessica fed him dog food, and Dad filmed it. You helped her commit fraud. You destroyed my credit. I didn't do this to you. You did this to yourselves. I'm just making sure there are consequences." "You ungrateful," she started, but I hung up. Then I blocked all their numbers, every relative who'd laughed at that video. I systematically removed every person who'd chosen cruelty over compassion. The silence was immediate and profound. For the first time, my phone wasn't buzzing with demands and criticism, just quiet. Jessica's engagement party had been scheduled 3 weeks after Leo's birthday at a Lake Oswego country club. I wasn't invited, but I sent a gift anyway. A digital photo frame, expensive with Wi-Fi connectivity, delivered 2 hours before the party. I programmed it carefully. It would display Jessica and Mark's engagement photos, then slowly change to credit card statements, loan documents with my forged signature, screenshots of Instagram posts next to fraudulent charges. Finally, the video Leo's face realizing what was happening, vomiting and crying while they laughed. The frame was set to start 2 hours into the party, right when toasts typically happened. Wi-Fi enabled with password protection so she couldn't turn it off. I learned from a friend's friend that it started right during Mark's father's toast about family and trust. People noticed quickly. Gasps spread like wildfire. Someone tried unplugging it, but I'd used a locking power cord. Mark's mother had already seen enough the documents, the fraud, the video. Mark's father was on his phone with their family attorney. The engagement was over before dessert. Jessica tried calling me 37 times that night. My mother called 15 more. My father sent increasingly unhinged texts, threatening lawsuits. Every message was documentation I screenshot and forwarded to my detective. I didn't respond. Nothing left to say. 2 months later, Jessica was formally charged with identity theft, fraud, and child endangerment. Prosecutors also investigated tax evasion. My parents were charged as accessories. My detective called regularly with updates. Jessica tried fleeing to California but was arrested at the airport. My parents hired an expensive lawyer, claiming they'd been duped, but evidence proved otherwise. During those months, life slowly rebuilt. Credit companies began removing fraudulent accounts. Marcus's mom connected me with legal aid for a pro bono civil suit. Leo started therapy. Slowly, he smiled more, laughed more, stopped having nightmares. His therapist said children were resilient with support and safety. I started therapy too. I hadn't realized how much I needed it until I was talking about spending my life trying to earn love from people incapable of giving it. Family is supposed to love you, my therapist said gently. What they did wasn't love, it was abuse. You're allowed to walk away from abuse, even when it wears the mask of family. I cried for the first time since Leo's birthday. Grief tears for the family I'd wanted and would never have. But after grief came freedom. I didn't have to carry them anymore. 3 months after the birthday party, Jessica pleaded guilty to avoid trial. 18 months in prison, 5 years probation, full restitution plus damages. She had nothing. The penthouse was rented on stolen credit, her social media deleted, her career over. My parents pleaded guilty too, probation and community service, but restitution payments. They had to refinance their house, deplete retirement savings. Eventually they sold the house, unable to afford it or stand the whispers. I felt nothing. Just quiet acknowledgement that the universe had corrected itself. 4 months later, when spring turned to summer, I threw Leo another party at a local arcade and pizza place. Only his closest friends, Marcus and his mom, parents who'd reached out after the original party. I ordered pizzas and pitchers of soda, bought quarters for games, got a Pokemon cake from a grandmother baker who'd listened to what happened and made something beautiful. When we cut the cake, Leo hesitated. I saw fear flicker across his face. But I cut the first piece and took a big bite, showing it was safe. He smiled, then ate with 7-year-old enthusiasm. I watched him play skee-ball with Marcus, laughing so hard they could barely stand. At one point, Leo ran up breathless, holding tickets. "Mom, this is the best party ever. Better than the other one. Way better." "Yeah?" "Yeah, because everyone here is nice, and the cake was good, and nobody made fun of anything." He hugged me quick and fierce before running back. I stood in that loud arcade, surrounded by games and children's laughter, and felt something I hadn't in months. Peace. Real, genuine peace. Marcus's mom stood beside me. "You did good, Olivia. Look at him. He's going to be okay." "You both are." "I hope so." "I know so. What you did, standing up to your family like that, protecting your son, that took real courage. Your son is going to grow up knowing his mother protected him, that she loved him enough to burn the whole world down if she had to." Tears pricked my eyes, but good tears. "Thank you. For everything." She squeezed my hand. "That's what real family does." That night, after Leo was asleep clutching his stuffed Pikachu, I sat with T thinking about everything. 4 months ago, I'd been someone who accepted abuse because she thought she had to. I wasn't that person anymore. The woman I'd become was harder, more cynical maybe, but also stronger, clearer. I knew what I was capable of. I could be ruthless when my child was threatened. I could dismantle lives with the precision I used, scheduling appointments. I didn't regret it, not for a second. My credit was being repaired. In a year or 2, I'd qualify for a car loan. I'd been promoted after my supervisor learned how I'd handled everything. The raise wasn't huge, but enough for Leo's therapy without worrying about the electric bill. Leo was healing. He had bad days, questions about why his aunt and grandparents were so mean. His therapist said the fact I'd acted so decisively helped him feel safe again. I was healing too. Learning why I'd tolerated abuse, identifying dysfunction patterns, learning that love shouldn't hurt, that I deserved basic human decency. I was learning to forgive myself, the version who'd smiled through cruelty, made excuses, waited too long to act. She'd been surviving. Now I had better tools. Now I could actually live. 6 months later, I got a letter from Jessica at the correctional facility. 3 pages of excuses about pressure, mistakes, intentions to pay me back. Even facing consequences, she couldn't take full responsibility. The 3rd page said she thought feeding Leo dog food would be funny, like a prank. She didn't think it would hurt him that much, or ruin everything. Even an apology, she was minimizing. No remorse for hurting Leo, just regret it ruined things for her. She asked me to write the parole board on her behalf, said as her sister, I owed her that much. I filed the letter with other documentation, then wrote a brief response. Jessica, I received your letter. I will not write to the parole board. You are not entitled to my forgiveness or help. What you did to Leo was abuse. What you did to me was calculated theft and fraud sustained for months. The consequences are natural results of your choices. I hope you develop capacity for genuine remorse, but your redemption is not my responsibility. I have my own healing to focus on. Do not contact me again. I mailed it and felt nothing, just completion. A door closing finally and firmly. 8 months later, my mother sent a drugstore card. We miss Leo. He's our only grandchild. Please let us see him. We'll do better. No apology, no acknowledgement. Just a request for access, couched as if I was being unreasonable. I threw it away. People who don't apologize aren't sorry, they're just uncomfortable with consequences. As Leo's 8th birthday approached, I asked what he wanted. He thought seriously, then said he wanted a party like the arcade one. But Mom, I don't want to invite Aunt Jessica or Grandma or Grandpa. Is that okay? My heart broke at his hesitation, needing permission to not invite people who'd hurt him. That is absolutely okay. You never have to spend time with anyone who makes you feel bad. Not ever. Even if they're family. Even if I miss them sometimes. Is it okay if I miss Grandpa? He used to play catch with me before. I pulled him close. It's completely okay to miss the good parts of people while knowing you're better off without them. Feelings are complicated. You can miss someone and still know staying away is right. He nodded. I miss the before times, but I don't want to go back. That's very wise. You're a very smart boy. We had his 8th birthday at the same arcade. Louder, messier, more chaotic. Leo was more confident, more himself. When he blew out 8 candles, I thought about all the versions of this moment that could have existed where I'd stayed silent, accepted abuse, taught my son it was okay to let people hurt you because they were family. I was grateful that version didn't exist. I taught him something else instead. That you can stand up to bullies even when they're bigger. That actions have consequences. That love means protection, not tolerance of harm. That you can survive terrible things and still find joy. Leo made his wish and blew out all 8 candles. Marcus's mom caught my eye and smiled. I smiled back, feeling that same peace, only deeper now. Later, getting ready for bed, Leo asked what I'd wished for at 8. I think I wished for my parents to be proud of me. Did they ever get proud of you? I thought about how to answer honestly. No, but I learned something important. It doesn't matter if other people are proud of you. What matters is if you're proud of yourself. Are you proud of yourself, Mom? I tucked him in. Yes, I'm proud I protected you. I'm proud I stood up for us. I'm proud we built a good life even when people tried taking it away. I'm proud of you too, he said sleepily. You're the best mom ever. That was the first time he'd said that. I'd been so focused on earning approval from people who'd never give it that I'd almost missed the approval that actually mattered. Eventually my credit was fully restored. 18 months of disputes and patience, but fraudulent accounts were removed one by one. When I received confirmation, I sat at my kitchen table and cried tears of relief and vindication. 2 years after the birthday that changed everything, I bought a used Honda Civic. Mine, bought with a loan based on my repaired credit, paid with money I'd saved. The first place I drove was to the arcade. Leo came along, now 9 and growing fast. I parked and just sat there, hands on the steering wheel of a car that was actually mine. Why did we come here? Leo asked. I just wanted to remember how far we've come. 2 years ago, I didn't think we'd ever be okay. Now we're actually happy. Leo considered this seriously. Yeah, we are happy. Can we go play games now? I laughed. Absolutely. On the 3rd anniversary, Leo asked to do something different. I don't want to keep remembering the bad thing. Can we just have a party on my actual birthday like normal kids? The bowling party was perfect. Leo didn't really remember the bad party anymore. It wasn't the first thing he thought about. That's how healing works. The bad thing becomes part of your past instead of your present. As Leo grew 11, 12 we settled into rhythm. Birthdays with friends, never family obligation. Holidays with Marcus's family who'd adopted us. Summer camping in Oregon parks. I got promoted to office manager, moved us to a better apartment. Leo got his own room, decorated with Pokemon posters and that worn stuffed Pikachu. Leo thrived. Honor roll, robotics club, friends who came over weekends. He was kind without being a pushover, confident without being cocky. He'd learned you could be soft and still be strong, gentle and still have boundaries. I dated occasionally, learned I didn't need a partner to be complete. Started therapy that helped me unlearn decades of conditioning about my value being and how useful I was to others. Sometimes late at night, I'd think about everything. About the woman who'd smiled through cruelty. About the moment something shifted from acceptance to refusal. About systematically dismantling their lives because mine and Leo's had to be protected. I didn't regret it. I'd do it all again. Because on the other side was this. A quiet life with my son, free from toxicity, full of ordinary joys and hard-won peace. Leo is 14 now. Taller than me. Voice changing, eye rolling at my jokes. But still kind, thoughtful, trusting that I'll protect him. And I do, every single day. Last week he asked about Jessica and my parents for the first time in years. Do you ever wonder how they're doing? Sometimes, I admitted, but not because I care. Just curiosity about whether they learned anything. Do you think they did? I considered seriously. I don't know, I hope so, but that's not my responsibility to find out. My responsibility is to you and me, keeping us safe and healthy and happy. He nodded. Then, I'm glad you chose us. Always, every single time, forever, I choose us. He smiled that same smile from years ago, covered in cake frosting and pure joy. I know. That was the real victory. Not lawsuits or convictions or consequences. The real victory was this boy who knew with absolute certainty he was loved, protected, worth fighting for. Breaking the cycle of dysfunction and abuse. Building something new, healthy, whole, completely ours. They'd tried to feed my son ashes and call it cake, to teach him disappointment was inevitable, cruelty was entertainment. Instead, I taught him love was protection, that boundaries were healthy, that standing up for yourself wasn't selfish, that you could survive terrible things and still find joy. And we did. In arcade games and pizza. In therapy and hard conversations. In quiet evenings and loud celebrations with chosen family. In every ordinary moment of an extraordinary life we built from ruins. The birthday cake that tasted like ashes was 7 years ago. Sometimes it feels like a lifetime. Sometimes yesterday. But mostly it feels like the beginning of the story I was always supposed to write, where I stopped being a supporting character in someone else's dysfunction and became the hero of my own life. Leo learned that even when people serve poison wrapped in pretty packaging, you can spit it out. Walk away. Find people who love you enough to give you real cake, real kindness, real family. You can heal, thrive, be more than what they told you could be. That's the story now. Not about cruelty and betrayal, though those happened. But about survival and strength, and the revolutionary act of choosing yourself when everyone expects sacrifice. About how the family you're born into isn't always the family you're meant to keep. about losing everything and somehow ending up with more, about how ashes, when scattered to the wind, make space for new things to grow.